Many of us believe that leaders are born and not made. But recently, I've come to understand that leadership is something that we can all do starting today. I'd like you all to imagine a leader and think about what you see for just a moment. For me, I used to imagine someone standing up on a stage, commanding a crowd, speaking with confidence. The kind of person who's charismatic, important, has a position or role or title. The kind of person whose biography I would read years after they pass. The kind of person with a legacy. But recently, I've grown alienated from this traditional image of a leader. Because I saw leaders who fit this description and served their communities, but I also saw leaders who fit this description and misuse their power. But thinking back to one important person in my life helped me better understand what leadership is. I distinctly remember the first time I met my elementary school principal. It was my first day in the second grade Cool Cats classroom, and as such, I relegated myself to the back left corner of the rug, as I had done hundreds of times before, because I had never really felt welcome. At least that was until my principal saw me. That day, she came up to me. She always used to wear this little Mickey Mouse hand over her left palm. She walked over, sat down, crisscross applesauce beside me, and said, "Hi, what's your name?" Now, that might not seem like a lot, but in that moment, she did something important for me. She gave effort to make sure that I felt welcome in a place that was unfamiliar to me. And it didn't stop there. Every time I saw my principal, she would never fail to ask, "How are you doing, Nishant?" And if my answer was anything less than, "I'm doing great," then she would take time out of her day to make sure that my well-being was prioritized. But the great part about her leadership wasn't the fact that she did this for me. It was the fact that she did this for every single person that she knew. From her friends, to my peers, to families at my school. Which is why, when she passed away, hours worth of video testimonies were sent in describing similar stories to the one I just shared with you. Because people remembered how she made them feel. Thinking back to my principal's leadership helped me better understand what leadership actually is. See, the issue that I had with the term leader had little to do with my vision or a lack of ambition for my future. Instead, it had more to do with how I defined being a leader. I saw leader as a position, a status, something that you achieve. But that's not quite it. I've come to understand that leadership is something else. Most often, when we think of leadership, we think of the big things. Things like starting companies or nonprofit organizations. And yes, these are great examples of leadership. But focusing too much on these larger examples can sometimes cause us to overlook some of the examples of leadership in our everyday lives. Things like holding the door for somebody, throwing away trash for a friend, or rinsing the dishes. My parents always made me rinse the dishes, and I hated every second of it. Until I took a moment to step back and think about what rinsing the dishes actually is. When there are dishes to be rinsed, there is a need. Somebody has to go up, rinse those dishes, put them in the dishwasher, and then take them out to put away in a cabinet. There is also an action. Somebody has to get up and do those things. regardless of whether or not they enjoy it. And I certainly did not enjoy it. Similarly, when my principal saw me sitting on the corner of that rug, she saw a need to welcome me into a community, to make me feel welcome in a place unfamiliar to me. And then she took an action by sitting down beside me and having a conversation. That is leadership. Leadership is an empathetic action. It is being what a situation needs at the moment, regardless of whether or not we enjoy it. And what could possibly be more valuable in a rapidly changing world like ours than the ability to be what a situation needs at the moment? The situations that we face are constantly changing, and because of that, the ability to adapt, the ability to morph yourself into what the situation needs has grown increasingly more valuable. The second reason why I love this definition of leadership is because it can apply to anyone, regardless of their occupation or status. So you may think of someone great at leadership as a general who takes empathetic action to serve and protect, or an entrepreneur who addresses a consumer need through empathetic action. But you can also think of a doctor, or a caregiver, or a teacher, or a friend. This is what I want to be. In today's world, I would rather be great at leadership than just be the stereotypical great leader. This realization is what prompted my next question. How can I actually be great at leadership? Well, it came down to those two parts: empathy in action. That first part is empathy. Empathy is the active, disciplined choice of feeling with another. When our leadership is motivated with the purpose of serving others, of caring for others, and otherwise supporting them, then it's hard to view leadership as a tool for personal gain, because it's focused on the people around you. My principal did this in a couple of ways that I believe we can do every single day. Two simple questions. How are you? And what can I do for you today? Showing that she cared, and showing that she's willing to give her support. In doing this, she created a world of trust and cooperation where the people that she worked with were willing to sacrifice for her the same way that she sacrificed for them. And the people around her believed in not just her vision, but also in who she was. The second part of leadership is the action. And the action is the hardest part, because it's all about overcoming internal and external barriers as well as misconceptions. The biggest misconception that I faced was the myth of the great man. The myth of the great man is the belief that our world and our history is shaped by a few extraordinary individuals, great men and great women who shape the world through their own power or brilliance. We love this myth, and we reinforce it every single day because it makes for an amazing story. We see it on the news, we write about it, we fight about it, we talk about it, and we even read it in our history textbooks. But the thing that this myth did for me is it separated me from them. It treated leadership as a gift, something that is bestowed to a chosen few, and not something that we can all practice, not a skill that we can develop. But by watching the people in my life, like my family, my friends, and the mentors and educators that have guided me, I've come to understand that leadership is all about understanding that you always have a choice to be what the situation needs at the moment, regardless of what barriers you may face. That is what leadership is. And in coming to this realization, I've been less afraid to jump in, to take action, to do something, to become what the situation needs at the moment. I know that there will be obstacles that I will face, misconceptions that I will have to overcome. But I know firsthand the impact that leadership has had on me and the people around me. It's made people feel seen and cared about. And it's made real positive change in my community. So I ask you to come on this journey with me, to recognize that leadership is not a gift, not something reserved for a chosen few, but a skill that we can all practice by taking empathetic action every day and choosing to be what the situation needs at the moment. That is leadership. And we can all start by going home today and rinsing the dishes. Thank you.